And it is a do not use order, which is different than a boil water advisory, which is, I think, what a lot of people maybe wondered at first. Is this just a boil water advisory? We get those all the time. And it quickly became clear this was not a boil water advisory. This was something much more serious. It's a do not use the water order for a number of counties in our viewing area. We're still working to get some more information to find out exactly what this means for you. Stay with us. We'll be giving you more information as we get it, both here on the air, online, and via Twitter and our Facebook page. Was it accurate? And how could we verify it before we then shared it with our larger audience? And I think it really showed us how important it is to monitor and verify. And we did a lot of that in the days and weeks around the water crisis. We would monitor our social media accounts, we'd monitor Twitter, we'd monitor our Facebook account, the comments that would come in from our viewers, and then we would verify it.
One thing I do remember about it is that I was over at the state capitol earlier that day. We'd had another freelance reporter was coming into work for us to cover the legislative session. Of course, the state of the state from Governor Tomlin was just, I believe it was the day before, actually. So I was over at the Capitol, and I remember coming back and smelling something in the air, but not really thinking anything of it. I think that, at that point, no one had any clue. The governor's office issued the do not use notice, or the ban on using everything, using the water for anything except to flush the toilet or to put out fires. I don't think anyone had any clue what was going on. We just knew that there was a leak at Freedom, and that residents weren't supposed to use water at all. Of course, having reported this and living in Charleston, we were just as affected as anyone else. So, covering it in a variety of ways, from either aggregating information from other reporters out in the field or pulling in information that we were gathering ourselves. So
the chemical spill in Charleston, but it was like opening up a Pandora's box of issues about water, not just in our state, but nationwide. It's been a real eye-opener, but it also really points the way to the power of some of these emerging technologies, potentially, maybe not now, but in the future, and of community engagement and being part of how we look at water quality and security in our communities. That capability is coming into play, where data can be extracted from almost anything, and also the price. The technology is not $30,000 medical equipment or sensing, laboratory devices.
So water is a prevalent feature in the state of West Virginia. And certainly some of its most remarkable places are its rivers. When we think about places like the New River or the Golly River or the Cranberry River. Then when we couple that with some of the major river systems like the Monongahela River and the Kanawha River, places where historic conduits of coal and steel and major economic drivers in terms of industry development along the canal. So rivers are a huge, huge component of the West Virginia landscape. But what we saw from that chemical spill is that when we don't have water, it creates a serious, serious situation, and not one that's just, environmentalists care about it. Everybody cares about it. Citizens care about it. Businesses care about it. It's wildly important to us, and we see it when we realize it when it's gone or when it's not available to us. That was the first thing that the chemical spill told us, is just how valuable it is. Now, what was surprising to me, and I think surprising to a lot of people, was how susceptible that water source was. So as we lose rivers and their value of drinking water and become dependent on very few, then we become very susceptible to something that would seem like to be a localized event. And instead, that localized event, it touched a third of the state, the residents.